Hello everyone, I'm Buck Weezer. We're putting the do into do-it-yourself, and today's do-it-yourself project is a little bit different, but one I've been needing to get around to for a long time. So here on the table in front of me is my DeWalt DW705 compound miter saw. This chop saw, miter saw is pretty old. I don't know exactly, but it works great. It's a 12-inch cutting blade. For the kind of woodworking I do once in a while, it's perfect. But the problem that I have is this power cord is deteriorating, and it's frayed, and the outer insulation is broken in many different spots, and I'm just showing you all of them here. And this is starting to feel, this is getting to the point where it's feeling unsafe to me. It's not that the saw blade has ever hit it, to my knowledge. It's just that the age of it, and the many times that this cable's been twisted and wrapped up, and it's just coming apart in a lot of different places. So I want to replace it, and that's the job for today. I think this saw's got a lot of good life left in it. I'm just going to feel a lot better with a new cable. Now what we have here is, you can see the writing on it if you look closely. This cable is 14-2 SJ cord. That means it has two conductors. It's got a black wire in there. It's got a black and white. There's no ground wire because this is a double insulated saw and it wasn't required. So that's why on this plug you only got two prongs. There's no ground wire. Well, I went out to the Home Depot to see if I could get some 14-2 SJ cord. They didn't have any. What they did have was 14-3. And that means it's got the black wire, the white wire, and if you look in there, you can see it also has the green ground wire. And that's okay. I don't need the green ground wire, but if I find a spot in the handle here near the motor where we can ground it, I'll go ahead and do that. If not, no big deal, because it's not required and it wasn't there originally, but we'll see. So I also bought the 14-3 SJ cord, and I bought one of these plugs that I've already put on the end of it. So that side, it's good to go. Now if you look closely at your saw, like I did here, you'll see that it's pulling 15 amps. So that's a pretty big draw, and that's why you've got to have 14 gauge wire. You don't want to go with anything smaller than that for a 15 amp motor. Alright, so keep that in mind. As I take a look here at our project, it doesn't look like it's going to be that involved. We've got a clamp here, and then the wire comes into the handle. And so I've got a couple of screws up here to take off, and then a couple here, 4 here, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this should open up. If I'm not mistaken, that should come off and we'd have access to everything we need to change out this wire. So I've already determined that we need a Torx bit, a T25 for up here. And the other ones are Torx T20. Looks like they're also slotted, so you could probably do this with a slotted screwdriver if you didn't have the Torx bits. So let me put you up on the tripod, and we'll get started on our compound miter saw rewiring project. Alright, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Make sure you're not plugged into power. Why would you be for the job like this? But just be careful. And we'll start here. That's our T25 that holds on this. And we'll be reusing this bracket right here. So take that off and set him aside. Alright, now these two guys here, these might just be holding on the black part of the handle. But either way, we'll get him out of the way. Now switch over to the Torx T20 for, oops, or it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A washer came off with that and dropped down in there. I'm going to retrieve that. All right. Yep. So these have the screw or bolt with a washer as well. So we'll want to keep a hold of them. Alright. Okay, so these are a different type of thread. These first four were machine screws with a fine thread. The ones I'm taking off now are a thicker. That's probably because it's screwing into the plastic. But it's good to note that there's two different kinds here. I also noticed that these don't seem to have washers with them, these four. Alright, let's open it up. That should be it. Yep, that gives us access, I think, to everything we need. And this top piece is just plastic. Maybe I should clean it while I have the opportunity. Alright, so there's the switch here. Here's our cable coming in. It's clamped down here. Not sure what size screws they are. And our white wire under a wire nut with the other white wire going to the motor. That's our neutral. And then our black is going to go over to the switch on the handle. And see him, so I'll have to pull the switch up a little bit, and it looks like it screws on down there. Alright, so let me go ahead and find what we need to take this off, and then we'll undo that and remove that from the saw. These are Torx bit T15. Alright, he'll come up. So now this can come out of the spot there. We'll want to reuse this rubber piece here, so do that. We can untwist this wire nut for the neutral, the white wire. Take him off. Now we come over here. And you can see our black wire goes all the way to the key switch and has a screw. I don't think I'm going to be able to remove that connector, so I'm going to put the I'm going to cut this wire that goes to the key switch and use a wire nut just like they had for the neutral, because I'm not going to have one of those connectors, and I think that that'll work just as well in the end. So get out a pair of wire cutters, and I'll probably put the wire nut somewhere in here, because right in here in this part of the handle we seem to have a big cavity where there'll be room for the wire nut. you know, that takes up some space, so you don't want to put it in a channel where it's too tight. So let's get our wire cutters, and I think I want to cut it right. Which one is it? I want to make sure I get the right one. This guy right here. And I'm going to cut it right about here, and that should give us enough. Alright, so now our original power cord is completely free. We can take this off. And the old guy, he's going in the bin. And we can clean this one up a little bit. So I was guessing on how long my new cable should be, and I think I went to buy 7 feet, and they gave me quite a bit more than that. The guy who cut it was particularly generous. So let's compare the lengths here. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, but as I compare these two, it's not bad. My new cable, my new cord is about 18 inches longer than the other one is. I guess that's more like 2 feet. So I think I'm okay with that. So now I'm going to slide this guy onto the new cable. Alright, now it's going to go in there, and I got to strip back some of this insulation, of course, and you know, from about here on. So I'm going to strip back some of this insulation, and I'll do that off camera, and I'll turn it back on and we'll make our connections. Okay, so here's our wire. I stripped back about 8 or 10 inches, and I'm going to put it in place now, and I'm going to clamp it down like it was before. That part will be done. Alright, so I'll tell you about my ground wire idea in just a minute. Let's put this guy, where'd this guy go? It's right here, wasn't he? Okay. These were the T15s. Again, these are just going into plastic, so you want to be careful not to overdo it. Alright, that's pretty good. Alright, so let me see if I can show you my plan for the ground wire. The ground wire, as I've already said, is superfluous. It's not needed or required. However, the cable I bought included it, so it won't hurt if I can find a place, metal, on the housing of the motor or saw in which to attach it. And I found a spot right back here. There's a hole already drilled out here, and what I plan to do is, so I wrapped it around here and he's just coming back. Got a cavity down there where I could put some extra wire, and I'm going to use a self-tapping screw like this. It's got the drill bit style end. It's not focusing, but I'm going to put that right down in there with the drill and put our ground wire around it, so that will give the ground protection to our saw. And again, not essential, but since I have it, why not? That'll be the plan. So let me go ahead and do some splicing, and we'll get that guy installed, and that part will be done. So let's go ahead and see about drilling out this hole with the self-tapping screw. drill battery died, of course. Okay, so I think that's going to work okay. I'm going to tuck. Well, let's connect the wire first. Tighten that down. Now I know putting a stranded wire under a lug is not ideal, but I think it's going to be okay. Alright. And this will, rest of this will tuck down here. That's that. So there's our ground wire. We did add it, and I think that's a really good good addition, and that worked out just fine. All right, let's make the rest of our connections. All right, so white to white, that's going to be our neutral. I'm going to strip this just a little bit longer. And I'm going to cut this other wire about the same length. All right. Twist these together. Put them under a wire nut. And we'll have space to tuck it right down in here. At least that's the idea. Like that. And there are little channels in the plastic in which you can set the wires in place. Like that. Alright, so now these two black, this black goes over to the switch. And we decided to simply wire nut these guys in place and tuck it down in there. They're about the right length, so let's strip them back and join them together. I think those are good connections, but I will go ahead and use a little bit of electrical tape around both of these, I think, just to make sure they don't come undone and that they're completely insulated. So I'll do that, and it's going to be about it, except for putting the cover back on and testing it out. Alright, we've made all our connections. There's the addition of our ground wire, neutral and hot going to the switch over there. Make sure everything is seated where it's supposed to be. Looks good. And it's just a matter of putting the cover back on. And he fits back on there perfectly, which means that we got our wires in the right channels and there's no obstruction of any kind. Perfect. Alright, so let's go with the just do this all in the reverse of how we took it apart, starting with the handle. That's just going into plastic, so don't overdo it. Alright, and then these four were the machine screws. Alright, that's all nice and tight now. The handle it's a T25. Again, just going into plastic. And finally, we've got the this wire clamp right here. Right down there. There we go. All right. There it is. New power cord. Let's plug it in and see if it works. All right, it's the big test. Ready? It's working just like it should. Love it. I thank you for watching this video. It's a nice DIY project, and maybe you've got some power equipment that could use a new power cord. It's worth doing. Don't take unnecessary risks if you're not comfortable or familiar with electrical connections. Get somebody to help you. But it certainly is the kind of project that is within the reach of most DIYers. I appreciate you watching. Give me your comments and questions down below, and I'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye-bye.